Hi friends, welcome back to my channel Total QA. In this video, today we are discussing about a topic which is very important in Java OOPS concepts, which is polymorphism. Polymorphism is an most important object-oriented programming concepts. Polymorphism means existence of methods and objects in many forms. There are two types of polymorphism in Java, especially one is compile time polymorphism and another one is runtime polymorphism. So first thing we will discuss about compile time polymorphism. And compile time polymorphism also called as static binding and method overloading. We all familiar with method overloading, but method overloading is also called as static binding or compile time polymorphism. What is method overloading? Existence of two or more methods within a class which are having same name but having parameters differ in the following three ways. First one, type of arguments. Public void area which takes integer as a data type. Public void area float as a data type. This is related to type of arguments. The method name is same. The arguments are different. And one more important point here we have to focus is we are not focusing on the return type. The return type is void, but always we have to keep into consideration the method name should be same, but we should look at the method name is same, but we should look at the arguments are different here. Then position of arguments. Public void area int a comma int float b, then public void area float a comma int b. The method name is same. The position, first we have int a comma float b, second we have float a comma int b. These two are also called as overloaded methods. Number of arguments. You have a method area with one argument int a, a method area int a comma int b. Here we have two arguments. These two also called as overloaded methods. Okay, so method invocation, and one more important point, what is static binding here? So let's discuss about static binding here. Method invocation is mapped to method implementation during compile time. We all know that Java programs has to be compiled, then we have to execute. Compilation phase, execution phase. So during compilation phase, the methods are automatically mapped to the method implementation during compile time. So we call this as a compile time polymorphism. And static binding, the mapping is fixed and it will not change during runtime. So when you try to write a program, when we call the method is automatically mapped to the implementation during compile time, and the binding, the method invocation to the method implementation is fixed. It will not change during compile time and runtime. We call this as a static binding. Method overloading happens within a class. This is very important. Always it's important to remember that overloading concept always within the class. Now let's look into some Java examples. We are always familiar with system.out.println I is integer here. System.out.println f is a float. How it is possible? We are using same method println here also, but here we are passing integer, here we are passing f. The reason is in the class they have defined multiple println methods with different data types. Let's look into that example, how the Java developers has written the API. If you look at system.out.println hello world, I just click on println method to open the source code of the Java API. If you look at here, public void println string x, public void char x, public void println double x, it means that there are so many methods which are having same name but they differ in the type. Double here, char here, float here, long. See, for every data type there is a method clearly written within the print stream class to access this method differently based upon the argument we pass. And we can easily remember this method. If we have a different method for different data type, print integers, print double, so it is very difficult to understand and remember as well. If we have one method, say print ln, and just pass the argument type accordingly, this will be easy for us to remember the concept. Now also if you go to the class name is print stream class, right? And right click on the print stream class and see here quick outline, and you just mouse over here and try to scroll down and see on the scroll bar, you see here how many methods which are having same name. So many. This looks very interesting, right? So Java developers, when they written this API for us to use, they have written different overloaded methods. The good example is println, or you can even talk about print method available in the print stream class. We call this as system.out.println. Now, and also not only that, we can even discuss about some of the methods which are available in Selenium also. Let's look into actions class in Selenium. If you look into actions class in Selenium, right? So org.openqa.selenium.interactions.actions class, if you scroll down and see the method summary, you can look out here, the click method is there, and similarly click method is there. The difference is the argument is different. Click will click at the current mouse location, click in the middle of the given web element. So println in Java, click method in actions class are the very good examples for method overloading. Not only that, context click web element, double click web element, drag and drop, I think drag and drop by it's an offset, this you can ignore. Similarly, key down, key up. So many, there's so many methods available in Java and Selenium which will be helpful for us to understand this concept of method overloading. Okay, so then let's move on to constructor overloading. So we all know what is a constructor. A constructor is a method which is available in the same class, right? And it is invoked when you create an object of the class. And there are two types of constructor: default constructor and parameterized constructor. We will discuss about this topic in a separate video, but let's focus only on constructor overloading. A constructor is a special type of method which is having same name as a class name, but it doesn't have any return type. If you look at the class student, I have taken one default constructor which is student here. I've taken one parameterized constructor here, and also I have taken student float. See what is happening. The class name is same as the method name, and constructor doesn't have any return type. So these three methods are overloaded constructors, right? They differ in int, I, float, fun without any arguments. These are three examples of constructor overloading. And not only that, let's see an example in file class in Java. So if you try to create an object of file class, let's see, file f is equal to new file. Quick fix, try to import this file. Let me associate the try-catch or throws. Okay, now you can see here. What's happening when I try to create a file object? File f is equal to new file. This class is available in the package java.io. When I click here, the file class, it opens the Java API directly. And you can scroll down and see the constructors which are available here. Let me scroll down slowly. We can find out some constructors. See here, the comment here, there are constructors available. Scroll down, you see this is a constructor which takes path name and prefix length. This is a constructor which takes child and parent. This is a constructor which takes path, and this is the one which we majorly use while handling the program using file, right? File operations we do mainly using this constructor. We create an object. Similarly, you have another file constructor here. So there's so many examples which will be helpful for us to understand the OOPS concepts. Constructor overloading, a good example is file class. Right? Similarly, let's look out in Selenium. Are there any constructors which are available? Okay, let's see. Let me scroll down. Do you see here? Chrome driver is a class. It has one constructor which is a default constructor. There is one more constructor which takes one argument here. Right? In summary, let me write down in summary. So when I talk about method overloading, a good example in Java is system.println, which takes int, which takes float. A lot of examples are there, right? Print, again one more example, int, print, float. When I talk about Selenium WebDriver, the example for method overloading is, we have a let me go to the API. Yeah, we have a click web element. Let's try to copy this. Click web element, and we have click here. Right? There's so many methods available. Let's take one more example also. Context click. Click, context click. Yes. Okay, so these 4 examples will help you to understand about Selenium WebDriver, and also whenever we try to refer to Selenium WebDriver, it's a good practice to go through the API. API will give us a lot of information. So let me put this link here. And when you discuss about constructor overloading, so in Java there is an example called java.io.file class has different constructors. Similarly, we have Selenium WebDriver. If you look at the classes like Selenium.chrome driver. It also has multiple constructors. So it will be helpful for us to understand not only the theory. If you look into the API, we will get some idea about what are the different methods which are already written by Java developers and Selenium developers about these concepts, which will be helpful for us to understand. I hope this is very useful for you to understand this concept very well. Thanks for watching my video. If you like my video, please subscribe and share with your friends.